Web 3.0, it is big, in fact massive, and there are a couple of really big players in this space. One of my personal favorite has to be ANKR. Now this is a cryptocurrency that I don't get to talk about all too often, but I absolutely love everything that they are doing from a fundamental perspective. In this video we want to dive down into the technical analysis for ANKR to see what's been going on most recently and what I would expect to happen next here with this particular protocol. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with absolutely every video that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all of that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down into the desktop and take a look at what is going on with ANKR. Okay guys, we're going to start things off just with our kind of hourly view in a moment, but we want to start here on the daily. I want to kind of talk through what's been going on most recently with our hourly view. With our daily view before we go down into our hours, because I think there's some interesting stuff that's been going on a bigger scale that actually makes a big difference to the long-term kind of proposition. So before we get into the kind of the here and the now, I want to kind of just quickly touch on this. So here we have, the impulsive move that we've seen with ANKR, right? If I just zoom on out here, you can really see that from March 2020, we had a good run up, a wave 2 down, a wave 3 up, and then basically, a nice kind of pullback here with a wave 4, right? And I'm actually going to propose that we haven't left wave 4 just yet. And there's something really interesting going on here. I think something similar is happening with Bitcoin and what this might actually mean in terms of where ANKR is likely to go short term, but also longer term, which is really important because there's a huge opportunity here with ANKR, I do feel, for more accumulation before this big push to the upside. So here we can obviously see we have an ABC correction, right? But I'm actually going to just focus in on a couple of things. I'm going to just tidy this up by deleting these off. I'm going to delete this yellow box here, but I'll leave this bottom one because this is an important area. So basically we have this kind of really good pullback here that we had back in the high point. I think this was March, and the crash, obviously the low point in June. Now this effectively, you can count it multiple different ways, but it's very choppy. It's not impulsive down. It's basically corrective. And what we really want to do is we want to kind of just take this as a big kind of A wave down here, a B wave up, and then a C wave down, okay? And whether that's the way you want to count it or you want to count it up here, however it works for you, it doesn't really matter too much. The fact of the matter is it is impulsive. It's not impulsive, it is corrective, okay? So however you want to kind of do it, I'll leave it there, and we'll just call it a shorter C wave. Okay, so we have this coming down, and then we can see here we have another big ABC move to the upside. Okay, and again, not impulsive because we have overlap going on. Okay, you can't have overlap if it's an impulsive move. So instead, what we actually have here is an A wave up, a B wave down, and a C wave up here. Okay, and now we are looking at tracking a nice kind of corrective action down, an A, a B, and a C. Okay, and why is this important? Well, this is important because if we actually go ahead and remove these, we can actually analyze this on a slightly larger scale. And that effectively is that this is a large A wave, this is our B wave, and this will be our C wave down here. And this is the opportunity. This is a flat correction, a zigzag pattern, and that effectively means that we're still inside this fourth wave correction with a double bottom effectively being your bull flag and your signal to go up, right? So this low area and this low area that's yet to actually come in. Okay, so these two opportunities, or this particular opportunity here, before we take an impulsive move up, effectively starting the fifth wave. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put the fifth wave over there for a second, and we'll just go ahead and put this fourth wave right in the middle of these two areas. Okay, so this is kind of what we're seeing, and then what we're looking for is we're looking for confirmation. The same thing is being said here for Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin also very similar, zigzag sideways trade. Many other cryptocurrencies, including Cardano, same thing. So really important that we understand that there's an opportunity to accumulate a little bit lower here, although dollar cost averaging at this low point isn't a bad idea in my opinion either. But that's all it is. I am not a financial advisor. I can't offer you financial advice, but what I can do is draw up these charts and read the data and kind of give my thoughts and opinions on what I think is actually going on here. So what do we actually think's next, right? Once we actually come down into this low range, we should be expecting the impulsive move to the upside. Obviously, that's no idea where it's actually going to go until we actually get there, but that's kind of giving you an idea. It's going to be an impulsive break to the upside. Now, in terms of what we think, well, we're talking about 77 cent. That's kind of where we think this thing is likely to go on that last little leg. But we could potentially only reach about 50 cent. It really depends on the extent of this fifth wave. I would expect the minimum level to be about 50 cent, and then obviously pushing up from there accordingly. But obviously here we obviously see we haven't reached this area, so we are expecting pullbacks to occur. You can see here on our daily chart that we are of course heading up into the overbought area, and again you can measure this lots of different ways, but I do think this is an A wave down, a B wave up, and a C wave taking us down into this low range here. And in that case, we can do is we can actually take our Fibonacci retracement tool, our measurement, we can go ahead and measure this distance, transpose this over into the top of our B wave here, and we can see that this C wave takes us down to 4.9 cent. We can then go ahead and confirm that low point with wave A was actually 4.7. Okay, so we are a little bit north of it, but it's pretty much right in that zone. And considering that we were just short of all-time high here, this would actually make a lot of sense that we actually pull back into this zone. So we're looking at about 4.9. So any kind in this kind of yellow box for me is fair game for accumulation, right? As you can see, we just kind of entered this area as well. This is the area that we were previously looking at as well. So ultimately, this is the opportunity for Anchor right now. I am still holding. I haven't sold any, and I'm probably going to accumulate more in this zone because I do think that we are going to see significant gains in 2022 that are going to shock a lot of people, specifically if you're feeling bearish right now, and that's kind of not your fault. It's I think a lot of it comes down to narratives that are kind of out there at the moment, but ultimately the market doesn't actually align to what a bear market would look like. You would normally see different kind of tells that tell us that it would be bear market. We're in a bearish kind of corrective phase, absolutely, but it's not a bear market, not as I see it. We're actually seeing a lot of accumulation going on across a lot of different coins, and you just have to look at Glassnode data to really understand what's going on there. So when we actually take a look at Anchor again here, we know that we've got that proposition 4.9 cent. That's my kind of target. Want to accumulate at that point there. We are got an overbought stochastic RSI on our daily, so we are looking at that pullback. This will pretty much be in line with Bitcoin going down to $31,000, for example. Now we're going to come back down into our hourly chart, and we're going to see what's going on here. We obviously have some interesting kind of moves as we reach this bottom area, and we had a really good run here. Now this is an interesting move. So what we want to do is we want to acknowledge here that this is potentially an ABC, this is an ABC down, and then we start to get this kind of traction to the upside and a sideways trade. Now lots of different ways you can kind of count this, right? So we obviously have the ability to say, okay, well here's our A wave, here's a B wave, and maybe this is our C wave, right? Or maybe this is our C wave, or C wave, or C wave, wherever you kind of want it to land. Now, in that particular scenario, if we were to measure this distance here of our A wave, and we actually go grab that, and we go ahead and transpose this over to the bottom of our B wave, well, this, it's impulsive in its nature, right? It's already gone up past the 1.618, etc. So that'll actually make this a more of a 1 through 5 kind of scenario with more push to the upside before we see downside here for Anchor. So do expect there's potentially here some moves to be had to the upside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete that one off, and what I'll do is I will mark this up as a 1, 2, 3, this being 4, waiting for that 5. And again, if we measure the distance here of our fourth wave, we would expect this to go up to 8.1. That would be the minimum level that a wave 5 should go to. Okay, so if this is impulsive to the upside, and we actually are counting it as an impulsive move, then 8.1 is the kind of the area that we want to be focusing in on, potentially going higher than that. Now, if of course it's not, and we do have, a bunch of ABCs, which again, you would expect to see more impulsive moves inside these, not on the downside. You would expect ABCs down, but you'd expect to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, there is 5 here. So you could argue that this here is, in fact, the 5 waves that we're looking for. We would be looking for an ABC here. This aligns nicely. And again, we would be looking for a wave 1, a wave 2. We haven't had a wave 3, but we'd look for a wave 4 and a wave 5 here. Okay, that's the kind of pattern that we would be looking for Anchor. However, we need to focus in on this move. This is not aligning to it. We'd have a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3 and 4 aren't really visible. So that doesn't really align neatly. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean too much for crypto, because it doesn't always align to these kind of standards in terms of what you'd expect to see within these wave counts. As long as you kind of are experiencing the majority of what you would expect, I think you're going to be okay. And again, we can see that there are potentially 5 waves here. So we'll watch out for that. We do expect to push up on the shorter time frame, but as I said previously, the longer term picture here is that we are likely to pull back. We are likely to go down into this little buy zone area of about 4.9 cent. Okay, that's kind of the expected area. Even if we do push up a little bit into this range here, you know, that is still quite well within the grasp of what we're looking for here. So ultimately, you know, I don't think we are overly going to be deviating away from that. I do think that is something that we are likely to see as long as Bitcoin also pulls back with it. Okay, so for Anchor, we are, you know, looking pretty good. We're looking at corrective action and trading sideways here across the chart. Once that gets completed, we should be in a really good position for Anchor. Still super bullish on everything that they're doing. I think ultimately, you know, Web 3.0 is going to be massive. Anchor are definitely, you know, one of the main ones for that in terms of what they're trying to deliver. So definitely something you want to be doing a lot more research on if you haven't done so yet. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe. Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all of that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.